Okay, so today I'd like to start off by talking about a concept that you're definitely going to need to know to be able to do the stuff we're going to be doing today, and that is rhyme scheme. Obviously, something that's a big deal in poetry. Okay, so first off, the actual definition for rhyme scheme is essentially just the ordered patterns of rhymes that are at the ends of lines of a poem. Okay, so you've got the rhyme there at the end of the line, and it's in a structure. That's the rhyme scheme. Okay. So when we're talking about rhyme scheme, we're talking about the actual order and the structure given to the rhymes. Now, it follows patterns in which the same sounds are assigned a particular letter of the alphabet. So like every time that exact same sound would appear in a poem, it gets the exact same letter assigned to it. Okay? So like hook and book. If it was the hook, the book. Okay, so if that's what it is, then that would be an A rhyme scheme. But if it went dun 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 the hook, dun 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 the sky, dun 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 the book, dun 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 the fly, that'd be A B. Because the hook and book are the A's, and then the sky and the fly are the B's. Okay, that exact same rhyme sound gets assigned the letter. Okay, so at any time that ook sound would appear, if there was a cook later on, or a nook or whatever, that would still be an A again then. It would just keep repeating. So let's take a look at a sample poem, like the whole poem, and then we can take a look at how it actually is notated. Now, the poem, it's a short poem. It's called The Germ by Ogden Nash. He wrote a lot of poems that were kind of whimsical in nature. So I'll go ahead and read the poem to you right now, and we'll take a look at the structure. You're going to notice that it's written in rhyming couplets. Okay? It says, a mighty creature is the germ, though smaller than the pachyderm. His customary dwelling place is deep within the human race. His childish pride he often pleases by giving people strange diseases. Do you, my poppet, feel infirm? You probably contain a germ. All right, so there you go. And now if you notice, that's an AA, BB, CC, AA rhyme scheme. So let's take a quick look at what that would actually look like if you were writing it down. All right, so you see how it went back to A there at the end? And that's how you notate a rhyme scheme. Okay, it's at AA, BB, CC, then AA again. Now, of course, if it alternated, there'd be like AB, AB, CD, CD, or whatever the case may be, and that would be the way you would notate rhyme scheme. All right, so hopefully rhyme scheme makes sense to you, because that is one of the things that you're going to be applying here soon. All right, so let's talk about sonnets. So a sonnet is it's a very, very, very structured type of poetry. Okay, a sonnet is a 14-line poem that consists of lines written in iambic pentameter. Now there are different actual types of sonnets. There's the Italian sonnet and the English sonnet. The Italian sonnet is also called the Petrarchan sonnet, Italian or Petrarchan, because Petrarch was the main writer of, or the most famous writer at least, of Italian sonnets. And of course the English is also called the Shakespearian sonnet form, even though there were lots of people who wrote in that style. We attribute it to Shakespeare, so it's the Shakespearian sonnet style. Now both are awesome forms of sonnets, but they have different rules. So we're just going to focus on one, and so for the sake of this, we're going to focus on the Shakespearian sonnet. Now, regardless of if it's Italian or English, it's still a 14-line poem. It's still written in iambic pentameter. It's still got stanzas and all that stuff to it, okay? So, here we go. So we're just going to focus on the English. So, English sonnet, it's 14-line stanzas, just one stanza, okay? And it consists of 3 quatrains and a couplet. Okay, now a quatrain is a group of 4 lines of a poem that are kind of grouped together. And then a couplet, of course, would be a group of 2 lines. So a sonnet then, since it's 14 lines, would be 3 sets of 4 and 1 set of 2. So it's 3 quatrains followed by a couplet. Okay. Now, in addition, the poet's thoughts are also organized around those groupings. Okay, so like that first quatrain is going to be one thought process. The second quatrain is another thought process. The third quatrain, another thought process. The couplet is another thought process. Okay. Now, there's also a rhyme scheme that has to be followed. Each of the quatrains follows like an A-B scheme. So, essentially, if you're writing a sonnet, the entire rhyme scheme would be A-B, A-B, C-D, C-D, E-F, E-F, G-G. So you've got a quatrain that goes A-B, A-B, following that rhyme scheme, followed by a second quatrain, different rhyme scheme, so it's C-D, C-D. Got a new quatrain, E-F, E-F, and then a final couplet, G-G. And it's just two lines at the end, they rhyme with each other, so it's G-G. Okay, so now let's actually apply this. Okay, so let's apply this to Sonnet 18. Okay, we're going to apply this to Sonnet 18 by Shakespeare. Okay, so did you notice there that first quatrain? The first quatrain there follows that A-B, A-B rhyme scheme, right? And the second quatrain follows the CD, CD rhyme scheme. Third, EF, EF, final, GG. Okay, so let's take a look at that again. Okay, so now let's take a look at the actual subject matter. Okay, so quatrain 1 essentially says that the beauty of nature isn't as good as you. Okay, the subject of the poem. Quatrain 2 says, well, natural beauty doesn't last. It eventually goes bad. Quatrain 3 says, but you're never going to fade because I'm recording your beauty. And then that final couplet says, as long as people exist, they're going to be able to read this poem. So you and your wonder and who you are right now in this moment will still exist. So you will exist like this forever. So let's take a look at that one more time so you can kind of see it. All right, makes sense? Okay, so now let's actually start talking about the elephant in the room, and that is iambic pentameter. Okay, yeah, this is always the part that people tend to struggle with a little bit. Hopefully, this will just come naturally to you, and you're going to be good to go. But I think I mentioned this before that I know a lot of people just really have a hard time with it. So if you do have a hard time, don't beat yourself up. Okay, it is one of the rules of sonnets, and it is something that you need to do to be crafting sonnets correctly. Okay, but that's about the extent of how that one skill applies. Okay, so if you get it, that is fantastic, and you're going to be able to create fantastic sonnets. So that's the upshot. Okay, so first off, quick review, meter. Meter, remember, that's that overall pattern of stressed and unstressed syllables. Okay, meter occurs when those stressed and unstressed syllables in the words are arranged in some sort of pattern that is intentional there. So when a poet writes in a particular meter, they're essentially counting out the number of stressed syllables and unstressed syllables in each line. And then that pattern just repeats and repeats and repeats and repeats. Now, each repeat of that pattern, of course, is a foot. Now, that foot we refer to as that basic unit of meter because you're just repeating that over and over and over. Or if you think of it like it's music, it would be one measure of music. It just then would repeat a whole bunch. Okay? A foot's going to have either 2 or 3 syllables. Okay, just depending on whichever type of foot it is. Remember, there's lots of different types. We're just going to focus on one type of foot, and that's the iamb, though. And an iamb goes unstressed, stressed. Okay, so a foot usually has one stressed and then more than one unstressed, but it just depends. Okay, so iambic. An iamb is a type of foot. It goes unstressed, stressed. And because it's iambic pentameter, that means there would be 5 iambs. Penta, 5. Okay, so iamb, unstressed, stressed, bum bum. 5 of those in a row is iambic pentameter. Ba bum, ba bum, ba bum, ba bum, ba bum. Okay. Now, make sure you if you're interested in this stuff. I did include as a resource into a list of all the different types of feet that are out there and all the different types of meter and all that stuff. So you're more than welcome to take a look at that stuff and get a little bit more information about it. But for writing a sonnet, all you need to know is iambic pentameter. So first off, an iambic foot, it's just an unstressed syllable followed by a stressed syllable. And we can write it like this, da-dum. Now a line of iambic pentameter would be 5 of those in a row. Da-dum, 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 da-dum. Now we can actually notate this. We can notate this by using like an X for an unstressed, because there's no stress, okay, an X, and then a slash mark there for a stressed syllable, kind of like an accent would be. So in this notation, it would end up looking like this. Okay, X slash, X slash, X slash. Okay, see that pattern? So let's actually apply that to one line of poetry. This is from the poem To Autumn by John Keats. The line is, to swell the gourd and plump the hazel shells. Let me say that again. To swell the gourd and plump the hazel shells. To swell the gourd and plump the hazel shells. Okay. To swell the gourd and plump the hazel shells. Let's take a look at what that would look like if you were notating the rhythm.